Hello, welcome back to the channel. This week we're cooking bread again, but it's not the same as the bread we've done before on the channel, which was very successful, and thank you all for liking it. This time I'm going to cook a bloomer. Now, a bloomer loaf is cooked outside of a tin and it's just placed onto a stone that's in the oven. And what you do is you put your dough on this peel and you slide it in. And for this week we're going to give away this peel. So what we're doing is having a raffle. So if you subscribe to the channel, you get 2 points. If you comment, you get a point. And if you like it, you get a point. And what we'll do is we'll add up all these points together and the lucky winner will receive one of those. Let's get on with making this bread. And I'll show you, it's quite easy. It's just a bit time consuming. And I'm going to do this in the TM6. And I'll see you soon. First thing we're going to do is to put the water, the yeast and the sugar into the bowl. We'll just let that warm up so that it gets to a little bit of a consistency where it starts to bubble. Now this you would also do in an ordinary jug. If you didn't have a machine, you do exactly the same thing to get it to the same. What I'm going to do is to put the water in. You've got a function where you push scales and then you can measure the amount of water that you put in it. I already know I've got about 640 mils of water in here. Add in 14 grams of dried yeast. On top of that, I will then put in 1 teaspoon of sugar, and that is it. Right, now that those ingredients are together, we'll just give this a mix up, and then we'll put the lid on, and then just wait for 10 minutes, and that will then get to a lovely yeasty, bubbly mixture. That's what it looks like after it's been resting for a while, and that's now ready for the flour to go inside it. Right, the next thing we're going to do is to add the flour into the ThermoMix. With the flour, when you put it in the ThermoMix, once again it measures it for you, and as this is a bloomer, we need to make a stronger flour. You can't make just your regular white bread flour. You need a bit more structure to it. It needs to be a little bit more firm, because when you put it in the oven and it's not in a tin, it needs to stand up and do its own thing. If you just put it in loose and there's no extra firmness in the flour, it's just going to collapse and it'll be like a pancake. So what I'll do now is I'll start to add the flour into the ThermoMix. As you can see, we've got 900 grams of strong white bread flour in there. Now what I'm going to do is going to add in some strong wholemeal flour. This is what gives it that extra bit of structure. And the total amount is 1,000, so I'm just going to add in 100. As flour can be quite explosive, we have to be careful what we do with this next stage. What we're going to do is to add in the oil and the salt. Don't laugh. So we put the oil into there, and that's 30 grams of oil. I'm losing my helmet here. And then on top and then on top of that, we'll put in our salt. We've been careful not to add the salt directly on top of the yeast, because the two together don't work. They get stuck and they mix up and they kill each other. Now we put the lid on, and we now go to our setting on here where we've got a dough function. So show you that. You come across the screen and there you can see it on here. You've got a mixture for your dough function. Do this for 8 minutes. So we turn that on for 8. That's about the normal time that you would mix it by hand. There we are, that's done. That's been kneading for 8 minutes, and as you can see, that's what it's come out like. What we do now is we pop this into a bowl. Before I put it into the bowl, just going to put a little bit of oil in there, not much, just to stop the dough sticking, and then turn this up and we get the dough to come out. Now that I've got that out of the pot, is I scrape all the excess dough off of the blade. You don't want to waste this. You've worked hard to mix it up, or the machine has, so you want to get as much out of it as you can. I'm now going to mix this up into a ball. I'm not going to work it too hard, because as I said before, making bread, I don't want to increase the gluten. And while we're on the subject, this is not my recipe, all right? I came across this on the internet from another guy who's fantastic, and I admire him very much, and I just thought I would share this recipe with you. Now what we do now that that is there, I'm going to get a little bit of dust, sprinkle some dust over the top of it, and this will just stop it sticking. And I'll now take a towel and put the towel over the top and cover that and rest that for about an hour to an hour and a half. We've had just an hour, and I've decided that that has proved enough. I don't really want it to go any further than that. So look at that, that's magnificent. By the way, before I put the dough in there, after I had that on my head being silly, I did wash it out. Anyway, here's the next stage. What we're going to do is take this out and get ready for splitting it. Split this down the sides, and this is what's called knocking back, but in this case, just trying to get it out. And I'm going to take this out and put it down that side down. There we are. Just guess this, don't weigh it, it's not really that exact, and split it into 2 amounts like that. Now what you want to do is to shape this ready for the next stage. So I'm going to put a little bit of dust just on the top there, not too much, and then turn it over and put it onto the work surface and start the shaping. Right, okay. So what we've got there is a nice sticky dough. So we're going to fold this over onto itself. Just spread this out a little bit like that, and then we're going to fold it over like this, 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 this. It's a star shape, and you just keep folding over, and it's sticky. Don't worry, just work with it, and then like that, get your scraper, bring it over, and if you find it sticks, just get a little bit of dust, pop it underneath, a bit too much there, and then you can continue working it round. And there you are, you've got that ready for the next stage. Now that I've got those like that, I'm now going to cover it over with a towel and let these rest for another further 15 minutes. There we are. There we are. They've been resting for a further 15 minutes, and they're now ready for the next stage of the process, and I'll show you what that is. Right, I'm now going to start the final shape on these. I'm going to lift this one out of the way very gently, because you don't want to de-gas it. And I'm just going to move it gently and put it over to here. Now, this is the dusted side, and I'm going to turn it over so I've got the sticky side up. Once again, quite gently, lift it over, and like that. Right, what we do now is push this out with our knuckles. So, going out into a bit of a circle. Don't pound it too hard, just move it about a little bit. Now you will find that your hands get a little bit sticky here, and this is exactly the same process as I showed you when I made the other loaf. And what we do is we move it out like that to the sides, we stretch it so it goes there, and then what we want to do is fold that there and that there so it's a star shape, and then we push it down again with the knuckles, and you can see that it gradually flattens out. You might even hear a little bit of air come out of there, and get that, and it's wider at the bottom than it is at the top, so give that a push there. And now what we want to do is start to roll it up together. I might need a little bit of dust on my hands for this, so pull and push, push in, pull it back, a little bit sticky, so push and pull and roll this back. You see it's just sticking a little bit more on the hands. Push and pull and push and pull and push and pull until we end up with the seam at the bottom. Now, the additional part, what we do now compared to where we would normally just put this in a tin, is we need to get a bit more structure into this. So I'm going to get a little bit of dust on top, and then I'm just going to roll it like that. This firms it up a little bit, and that also stretches it out a bit longer, and we just keep the shape there, and that builds it up nicely. And then what we do is we want to put a little bit of dust there, spread it out, and then move that over to there. And now we do the same with the other one. Right, now that we've rolled these out, we try to just keep them into a nice firm structure, because as I said before, they're not going into a banneton, they're not going into a basket or a tin. So we just cover these up and we're going to rest these for about 45 minutes. Here we go. That's the bloomers after they've been brewed for that extra time. What I've got to do now is get them onto the pill, but before that I've got one of these, which is a razor sharp slicer. I think it's called a grignette in French. And what I do is I do a slice all the way across there on both loaves and then dust it so that when it opens up, you've got that lovely artisan look of the flour around the outside and then this beautiful cut in the middle. So you take it from there and you do a swift cut all the way along like that down to there. I'm going to put some flour on the board. Don't forget, this is the one we're doing the giveaway for. I just gently got to lift this off of here. So a little bit of help with that and then lift it up and put it onto the board. And now make sure that you can shake that about. You want to be able to move that smoothly off of there. Now, the next stage, get yourself some flour in a tea strainer and just gently pop it over there, not too much, and that will give it that beautiful crusty look when you put it in the oven. I'm now going to go over and put this in the oven. You want to make sure it's still ready to slide off of the peel, and the oven's been preheated on the fan to 220 degrees C. I'm now going to slide this in, and as you can see, it's going to go on the stone. So just do that, and there it is. Lovely, slid on there. Just close that up for a moment. There we are. Now we're going to leave that baking in the oven for about 40 minutes, and I hope somebody wins this. Whoa, I'm happy with that. Out on the peel. And then there's the second one. Quite handy that. Right, there you are. Two lovely loaves. Right, now I'm not a baker, but I'm proud of those. I think they're pretty good. Obviously I can't cut into them yet because they're far too hot, but we will show some shots of these later on being cut. Okay, here we go. Time to cut into one of these bad boys. They're a bit hot, so I'm taking a chance really, but I'm going to try it because I want to see what they're like. See what it sounds like as well. Wow. That sounds proper. And look at that, a proper loaf inside. One more so you can hear that lovely sound. That is just like it used to be when I used to go up the market when I was a kid. Up Chapel Market, Islington, Restricts Bakers, and I used to get a lovely loaf of bread like that. Beautiful. Please try to make it yourself. It's not that hard. Just follow the instructions and also give yourself a chance to win one of these as well in our giveaway. Please like and subscribe. It really does help the channel. We've been going for a while now and we'd like to boost it up a bit. So pleased with your help. Thanks for your filming, Jack, and see you all again next week for another video. Bye.